Are not ready to absorb oxygen, but are healed through diet.
Okay, so I guess that would mean no hyperbaric chambers because the voltage in the cells and the tissues are too low.
That's what she's saying, and it makes good sense. There's also a very good YouTube video which actually shows how to make the flax oil and cottage cheese mixture correctly. Simply internet search Budwig videos. Once there, select the 8-minute video by Sandra Olson. When just starting the protocol, you would not want to make such a large amount at first as shown in the video, or it can make a person ill.
Well, I guess that would fall under common sense, right? But what if someone is allergic or lactose intolerant with milk or dairy products?
This can be a problem. If you're lactose intolerant, you may want to try the following. Since commercial milk is pasteurized, beneficial bacteria and enzymes in the milk and dairy products are destroyed. This has led to a number of people having difficulty in tolerating the quack, or some may call it quark, or cottage cheese. Dairy is an important component in the Dr. Budwig's oil protein diet. Because good substitutes are hard to find, it's worthwhile for those who are lactose intolerant to try different ways of tolerating the dairy. Many people that are lactose intolerant will find they are able to consume the combination of the flax oil and cottage cheese because there is a chemical reaction which takes place between the two, which actually changes the chemical makeup. And these people, which were lactose intolerant, can now consume this combination, but not always. Some other possibilities, in no particular order, would include using raw milk and raw milk products if you can get them. Use goat's milk instead of cow's milk products. Take the enzyme lactase with quark or quack or cottage cheese. Try Nancy's cottage cheese, which is made from lactic cultures. Make yogurt quark. Simply use an internet search. Make kefir quark. Straining kefir to get a cream cheese consistency. Kefir cottage cheese or quark seems to be the solution for lactose intolerant people. I've heard that has worked very well. If a person does not wish to make kefir, it can be purchased from some health food stores in the refrigerated section. Try to get the organic kefir cottage cheese or make it. As I mentioned a minute ago, kefir also comes in a liquid and the oil may be stirred into the kefir and consumed. This will be the last of my choices as I don't believe it works as well. The other breaks the oil down much better. Make sure the oil is totally dissolved in the kefir before consuming. You don't want it floating. I have heard that you can put some whey protein into the mixture to get the oil to break down better when using the kefir. I've used this and it seems to work. It just took a little bit as I kept adding it until the oil was emulsified, meaning broken down and not floating in the mixture. If you attempt to use the yogurt in place of the cottage cheese, it will require 3 times more yogurt to be consumed than cottage cheese, since it lacks the protein density of cottage cheese. Even then, this may not be as effective. There is some question as Dr. Budwig never addressed the issue. The yogurt will have to be live cultures, not the kind in a supermarket. An example of using the yogurt would be 3/4 cup of yogurt to 1 tablespoon of flax oil. The person would have to work with the mixture to make sure the oil is completely emulsified and does not float back to the surface of the mixture.
Okay, so Mike, what do you do in the case of a person with a feeding tube?
In the case of a person with a feeding tube, I think the first thing I would try is to make the Budwig mixture thin enough to go down the peg tube, or what some refer to as a J tube. You're going to have to work with the mixture. I would take an immersion blender, set on low speed to blend the flax oil, cottage cheese, and say 2% milk together. I would blend all together until the oil is totally mixed in, emulsified, with no oil floating in the mixture after blending it together. Hopefully, it will be thin enough that it can be pushed through the tube into the person. I've seen this work well. If there's an issue with this, then they may attempt using the liquid kefir to break down the flax oil. The amount of kefir used may have to be adjusted, possibly 4 to 6 ounces to 2 tablespoons of the flax oil. Make sure the oil after blending is not floating back to the top. They could try a little whey protein to see if this helps to break down the oil better to prevent this from happening. This mixture could be given once in the morning and once early afternoon, once the person's used to the oil. I would never give this mixture to a person in the evening or they will not be able to sleep. It may be a very good idea to start with less oil and buildup. Once putting this mixture into a patient, I would wait an hour before giving the person anything else. Let the electrical charge formed by the mixture get absorbed into the body without the interference of any other food or supplementation. You'll have to play with the mixture amount to get the desired results of the oil breaking down completely and emulsified. If you're going to administer this through a PEG tube or a J tube after you mix it up and no oil is floating, and if you have any question, you might pour it through some type of a metal mesh strainer to take out any clumps if necessary.
Okay, so I think you've made it pretty clear that if the oil is not blended in completely and emulsified, it won't create the electrical charge that we're looking for and no real benefit to the body. It also appears that if a person has the problem of the oil not totally breaking down and is floating in the kefir or possibly yogurt, then they can add a little bit of whey protein to make the mixture just help it emulsify completely.
That is exactly correct. Maybe start with 1/4 teaspoon of whey protein and go from there.
I've also read that the protocol has a dramatic impact on the blood in a person's body. It seems to me that the protocol would really benefit anyone with any type of blood cancer or any blood disorder. Could you comment on that?
An interesting note from Dr. Budwig in regards to your question was the condition of the cancer patient's blood prior to starting her protocol. Dr. Budwig noted prior to administering her protocol, she had observed blood analysis of seriously ill cancer patients which showed a strange greenish yellowish substance in place of the healthy red oxygen-carrying hemoglobin. She found that their blood, without exception, was deficient in substances called phosphatides and lipoproteins. It's also been found that most people have blood that is 80% deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. And I've read that 8 out of 10 people in the U.S. are deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. Dr. Budwig found that cancer patients' blood, after 3 months of using her protocol, returned a bright red and the tumors began disappearing. Weakness and anemia can be a real issue in many people, was corrected and the life energy was restored. Symptoms of cancer, liver dysfunction, diabetes were completely alleviated in many cases.
It sounds to me like the life energy was restored from the electrical charge created in the mixture.
There are certain items that should be avoided on the Budwig diet. The reason a person needs to exclude certain items from his or her diet is that they interfere with the Budwig diet by lowering the voltage field in the cells. And that's the last thing we want to do. It would also apply to the Select Budwig protocol if they use the combination. I would eliminate white sugar, white flour, white rice, white bread from the diet. They're too hard on the pancreas.
Well, that makes sense, as you need the pancreas to produce enzymes to go after cancer cells in the body and to keep them in check.
Exactly. And I suggest the removal of animal fats from the diet, other than what we talked about, to help allow the body to heal faster. My wife stayed off all meat, fish, and chicken for 12 months. You need the enzymes created by the pancreas and the ones you're going to use for additional supplementation for digestion of the fibrin coating. Fibrin coating surrounds the cancer cells and tumors so the white blood cells can recognize these abnormal cells and destroy them. I'll cover this later in the series. Let's talk about some other things Dr. Budwig said that are best to stay away from. No margarine. I would leave butter alone. Salad dressings, oils, leave them alone, except for extra virgin olive oil, maybe balsamic vinegar or lemon. Foods that are high in preservatives, leave them alone.
Well, that's some good advice. So does Dr. Budwig have a complete diet plan? And if so, where can a person find that information?
Dr. Budwig Diet Plan can be found in the resource page of my website, selectbudwig.com. The information on this with any additional links which will help a person do this correctly will be there.